stretching your neck.
My two guys.
Yeah, there you go.
Can we do this as a combo? Or we do it separately?
Yes, we can
The pen is mightier than the sword. Between these two men,
These two people, I don't know if you ever been interviewed together before.
No.
Exclusive. Where's the camera? Right exclusive on that. Exclusively.
They look like twins.
Two, right? Two great
They look like
publishers.
twins.
Two great people. Please give a beautiful, warm welcome to one and only Mayour Akinpelu, publisher Global Excellence online, digitally, and of course, publisher of City People magazine. One and only Seye, Kehinde. Make it loud. Make it loud. Make it loud.
apologies, but for the young ones, like Omar and the young ones that are here, these two gentlemen, they are the Twitter
there you go.
and the Facebook, Instagram, you name it, TikTok, of
Like
our generation.
People, if you don't, Monday morning, you haven't gotten it, and you are Johnson.
I'm alone queues in Maryland. City people with daddy.
Yes.
Okay, from Global Excellence.
From the City People.
Once you have that, you know you're covered. So, you got it?
Yes, sir.
This was our...
Also, your fashion is never complete without these two. People go there, from page to page and start, copying stuff, sending to their tailors. I don't know if your tailor ever made mistake. Check what you paid for. Look at what I did. That's how it was.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, love Mayour, Dr. Seye Kehinde. Thank you so much for gracing this occasion.
Thank you.
Where should we start from? I've done interview for you separately. You did interview on me separately. You did interview me on me separately. You did interview to everybody here. Where should we start from? Where should we?
You have legends here.
Where should we begin?
Make a toss.
No, we can't toss. No, start from,
I have a question.
Go ahead, come to the mic.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Oma Vibes. Thank you so much, like you said, for paving the way for information and every other thing. So I would like to ask, what was in your mind, because I know what Twitter is now, what Facebook and Instagram, but what was your mind to get to the people where you were working on City Magazine and Global Excellence? What were you trying to let people understand? Now on Twitter we can easily go chat and all that, but what was the idea that we were going to
Good question.
people?
Yeah, yes. The idea started for me when, because at that time I was in Prime People. Prime People was the largest circulating magazine in Nigeria at that time. But the trend then was to do interviews and to look for strange and unusual stories. When I joined, because I was a fanatic of National Enquirer in America, I went to my publisher then, Mr. Mayour, and said, I think we can change this concept that we don't do society and we should do society. And I said, okay, fine, go ahead and do it. And I remember then that the first major story that I did, the Ted Joshua Koya wedding, and it was huge. After that, we delved more into. He just casually asked me, if you want to do a magazine like Prime People, how much would this cost?
Wow.
And I said, give or take about 2 million at that time. So I said, 2 million, I can raise 2 million. Why don't we do a magazine so that we'll run it, we'll do 50-50. You will run it, I will bring the money. And I said, oh, beautiful.
Technical partner.
And I said, we have a deal. Go and work on your own, I will work on my own, we'll link up and all that. So I came back to Lagos. And I called then we have moved from Prime People to Vintage People. Okay. So, and I called Kone Bakari, the publisher of Encomium, to say, I just came back from Benin. The guy that I went to interview said we can be a magazine. So let's start working. Start work on the magazine. So then every week we'll buy National Enquirer and study it. The difference then was that National Enquirer is a magazine, but it's a newspaper format. So we wanted to do something different. We wanted to play more because National Enquirer play more on society and gossip, especially gossip among celebrities.
A lot of gossip.
So that's what we wanted to do. We started working on it. The guy didn't get back to me, but the seed was sown and we started working on it. That's how we did film. That's what, because if you remember when we started Fame.
Was it the one that financed Fame?
No, it was not. That's what I said. He didn't get back.
Okay,
You
so
know, he
now-
didn't get back. But because when he has
sold
already
that seed,
sold that seed, I've started working on it. You know,
Yeah.
later Kolobakari went to me, Mofed Amijo's magazine. But we have started working on it. I started working on it and all that. So he didn't. The guy couldn't raise the money. He didn't get back. But we started working on it. So me, Mofed Amijo, when she started her own magazine, said I should come and join. I said, I'm already working on my own magazine and all that. Okay, how's it for the eyes? The guy that was supposed to give us money, we didn't see the guy. So me, Mofed Amijo, was one basically that assisted and saying, okay, don't worry, I'll help you talk to people. Eventually, she spoke to one of our directors, Mr. Ataya Desoya, who financed Fame.
Wow. Dr. Seye Kehinde,
Yes.
your story.
Well, mine is a bit close to the Lord Mayor's story.
Okay.
Because interestingly, when I was about to start CDB2, he was one of those I discussed the project with. And he offered his own view, and most of the things he told me at that time I found very relevant and interesting to the project I had. I've always been a human interest person, even though my journey before I went into the human interest sector of journalism was a bit different from that. I mean, I'd worked with a few newspaper houses, and of course the very last one was Tempo magazine, which I was the editor, and I was part of the larger group, the news group. But of course, because I had this idea, I've always had this idea of going into the soft sell sector. I kept on nurturing that dream of mine, and when it got to a point, I just felt there was a need for me to give expression to it. It's been with me for a long time, and all of that. And of course, I started chatting people up, started talking to people. Of course, it was difficult getting investors. I spoke to a lot of my friends, and they were like, "Don't worry, we promise we'll support you," and all of that. But of course, when it got to a point, it was clear to me that it was going to be difficult to raise the funding that was needed and all that, and I had to look for ways of raising the funds I needed. And in 1996 November, CD people came on scene. And since then, it's been
Fantastic.
Before, sorry, you abbreviated a lot.
okay.
For the benefit of these young ones,
Okay.
we need to tell our history. We need to tell our story.
Yes.
These two gentlemen, especially Mr. Seye Kehinde, he's been to jail a couple of times now. So when we see young people now talking about protest, and say this generation failed them,
Yeah.
this gentleman was one of those that was haunted, harassed by the military governments just for telling it as it is. How many times were you?
Several times.
I mean,
I was detained in Kirikiri for 1 week.
I wanted to ask you, there was a time you were,
Yes, I
you
was
were in
detained in Kirikiri, yes,
and you wrote,
yes,
you wrote
yes.
about what happened inside Kirikiri.
In fact,
you now took it to Guardian.
That's how I became. Yes, that's how I became a journalist.
I
Yeah.
hired you.
Yeah.
So we are talking with ex-convicts.
so for our young ones,
Positively, political, please.
these gentlemen, they won't tell you, but we need to tell their story. We need to tell our story. It hurts me a bit, it angers me a bit when we hear young people say this generation failed and this we've not done anything. We did our own protest under a strict military rule.
What about Ali Moscow?
Yeah.
What about June 12th?
Yes.
So
Yes.
not
June
to down,
12.
yes,
Yeah.
not to downplay anything that our young people are doing, but we understand. We've been there. We've done it. As a matter of fact, our own punishment was twofold. After you finish your protest outside,
Come
when
back home.
you come, which home are you going to? You will tell your parents which protest you do, but I don't know.
June 12, you mentioned June 12. I remember June 12, we were inside Alagbado
For 10 days
for several days
without
Yeah.
food.
without food.
Yeah.
And our guy had to enter the car and say, I'm going to go and get food before we were able to see a goat. That
So
you just ran around. He said, look at this goat.
And your guy opened the car door.
We tell the story.
We have been with 7 days without food. But we have to keep the station open. We have to keep reporting news.
Finish the story,
The goat just passed by. We invited the goat in. I looked for tomato and oil. And that was
People were
food.
standing.
Eventually, we had to look for the owner of the goat. And that was how we were able to feed in 10 days. So that's part of the sacrifice that we have done, and also this gentleman, Kehinde in particular. Before going into success, most people will remember you for City People and for Global Excellence, but these were our voices then. You know, when we couldn't speak, they spoke and they wrote, and they were hunted and hounded for it. And we must tell that story, and we must thank them for speaking out when we couldn't, or for helping us to get our message across. Because I remember, even the newspapers that you would write for, they would go to Maryland and the military would come.
You know, at the time of Bacha, what was happening was guerrilla journalism there, because as a journalist, there's one guy called Franco Menka. He's the director of military intelligence in Apapa. You know, when they arrest you and they take you to Omeka, Omeka will tell you that, my friend, please don't let them bring you back to this place again. When they bring you again, I will flush you down this toilet. I was not joking, because killing people was normal. So then, especially share them, because Tempo then, you know, in the news group, Tempo, they were very involved in the struggle. In fact, Tempo was great because Tempo was basically a political newspaper. You understand? It's a newspaper, basically, but it's a political newspaper. So, they criticized government a lot. So, at that time, it is guerrilla journalism. You don't stay in the office. All of us, our office, then, we were doing film, there was memorable estate. But in most times, during that struggle, you can't see anybody there. You write your story from home.
You don't know
you understand?
No,
and then take it. Because they don't have the kind of opportunity there where you can stream and everybody cannot. You can be anywhere, or you can do a radio and you can be somewhere and you can do that when kind of people are feeling cool with themselves. But then you have to publish. Everybody was doing that. In fact, because one of the things that Abacha wanted to do was that because the main opposition, the voice of the opposition was newspaper, so they wanted they banned a lot of key newspapers. Apart from banning key newspapers, it made sure they made it difficult for you to print.
I was going to say that next.
So magazines then, you know, because magazines used to be
colored. But
all of us were doing newspaper then. We just do newspaper. Yes, black and white then, because there is no way, because they were everywhere. And they were really mean, you know. So I was discussing the same thing with my daughter, and I said, "What have you guys done? You're using pizza at Stockgate. You're telling me that daddy, you guys don't." I said, "You guys, yes, that I concede that because you are tech savvy, you were able to plan it well, but you also made mistakes and allow people to hijack it.
Yeah.
But it's not as if you just say, oh, you as a Resocate group, these people didn't do anything. That it was difficult then because we're dealing with the military. Yeah. They were ready to kill anybody. They didn't.
Military don't walk around with handcuffs.
They're not there to arrest you. There's no plans. You know, and it's like Guardian was banned. A lot of newspapers were punched. Everybody, newspapers were.
Because I remember I read this story in particular, and I found it very, very not just interesting but courageous. What you had to do. I mean, you didn't see your family for a long time. Yeah. Writing from here, sending the paper here. I mean, you couldn't even internet. You couldn't send it by. You have to find somebody to go and print.
Somebody has to go
and even when you printed to get it to circulate, because they were waiting.
Yeah. Because they were also harassing vendors and agents then. So vendors, because then, you know, when this was to come out to the agents who used to give it to the vendors, would usually come to your office. Then that was the tradition. They will come to your office to pick copies of. You will have your circulation manager will have had copies that will go into this one, this agent and all that one. But because we cannot do that, now you have to have areas where those agents, because we know them, you call them, they'll come and meet you somewhere. So everybody was like that. You can't go home, you can't go to the office, but you must publish.
Guerrilla distribution.
And everybody did it.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. While you were being hunted by the military, now, between husbands and wives, who wanted the more? You know, the wife sees your camera people all over, you know, at engagements, events, they clamor and say, take my picture, take my bedside. But the husband, they see some other stories, say, oh, we see Keke at Mabamidele Hotel.
Why not?
Let's think. Who is Bamidele? The hotel here. Okay, but we see Babakura somewhere. So who wants to do you more now? The husbands or the wife? I mean, now. You know, like Elvis. Elvis.
But let me tell you. You see, then there was no internet. You understand?
Just flipping through those, but there are times some of those slips come in. That's why I'm like, oh, if you had known, the story would have been dropped or wouldn't have.
And most times, if you notice, most of such stories usually are in columns.
Yes.
Okay.
Not stories. Not because
But how many people are interested?
no, that's what I'm saying. Because when you read, yes, they won't know. But I'm just telling you the technicality of it. Because for you to do a cover, you know, the cover of the magazine, you look at stories. The editor comes up to say, okay, these are the stories that I think we should use for the cover. You will now sit down and decide that, okay, let's use this story. So you will know those stories. So if it is a major story, you will know as a publisher because you will have access to, you will have discussed it when you are thinking about cover. Even if you are not there, when you are doing a cover, they will probably call you and send it to you for approval. You will see it. You understand? But when it's a column, you know, you have a lot of comments, especially somebody, if the columnist is somebody that is high up, maybe like editor or one of the line editors. You understand? You will see columns. So the thing will just go. It is when you are reading the magazine that you say,
Lord Mayor, you spoke about two things: access. Then you said billionaires. It was one time I was looking for Femi.
So you want him to take
I was looking at I was just looking for 1 billion naira for something, and I said, Femi's not answering my phone call. He's not returning my call. I called Lord Mayor. He said, call this number. The London one, no, give me answer. Thank you for that access.
Thank you.
Never to be abused.
So, gentlemen, with the new technological evolution, now we have Twitter, we have what have you. How has that affected business, and what
is the way forward?
Is the way forward?
Yes, it has affected business greatly in terms of it has eaten into the market of everybody. Now once you have
Android,
that's all. And it has also affected the quality of reporting. Yes, because anything goes now. At times, I guess let me also go. You see some stories and you're like, is this really a story that needs to go and all that, and that kind of stuff. That is, and of course, we've also had to respond to that because we couldn't have just sat down to allow the space to be taken over by. So we are also responding as organizations in that media space. We're also running our own online platform. We're trying to strengthen that. We're trying to see how we can also play big in those sectors. Apart from the fact that
because it's very much needed.
Yes.
Fake news travels fast, and people copy and paste. No matter what. Faster. You know, by the time they end up being corrected, people believe that whatever is on social media must be true. If it's not true, why would somebody
put it up there?
You know, so we really need that from you to help at least stem the tide. It's really that bad, and we saw it just some weeks ago. How bad news spreads so fast that it leads to very unpalatable.
But you know why it's difficult. We can people ask me and say that why is it that the mainstream media will allow people who are not journalists to dominate the cyberspace? And I said it's a different world altogether. And the excitement is that you see ordinary people. It's just like when GSM came. Before, for you to have a phone in Nigeria, it was a status symbol. When we were using 090, it was status symbol. So you can see a lot of people, they may not have opportunity of owning a phone, maybe even for the rest of their lives. You understand? Then GSM came, and anybody could talk. You understand? And everybody was excited. The difference in this cyber space is that people have always depended on journalists for information. You understand? Newspapers, magazines, radio, television. You understand? People have always loved photographers. They go to their studios. They want to see themselves. They do about them. They take photographs for them. They've always loved it. Suddenly, they don't need a photographer.
Anymore.
They don't need a journalist to give them information. In fact, they can turn themselves to journalists. So they are so excited. That is why people do not care whether this story is fake or not. They just want to post. They just want to see to be part of it. So you just need to want to create problem for you to just sit in your room and just concoct something and just post it. Just leave it. in no time, everybody will help you spread it and it will go viral.
As a matter of fact, I think it has affected our sense of humanity.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because you will see people that are in need, maybe had an accident,
Yes.
or somebody's been injured.
Yes.
But people
Rather
are-
help.
But even
rather than
wanna
help,
take
people
to
are
take
paying
it first.
then when you look at another thing, you
Yeah.
will see that, you will see especially young people, because they want to trend at all costs, because they're excited about what they can do with the cyberspace, you will see people doing ridiculous things. You will see a
gain
young
followers.
lady who will strip herself naked and be dancing
Like
and be
E.
filming herself
Like
and be
E.
streaming it.
And before you know it,
But
she'll
you
be
know,
trying to-
We should blame.
it will be unfair. It will be very, very unfair to allow you to go without asking us questions.
Before the not to forget my line of
Young
thought.
lady.
Okay.
We should blame the media platforms, because if you look very, they say, be the first to do this, be the first to
first.
tell your friends. That's why we now, everybody with the phone or camera, I want to be the first, because the platform is telling me, be the first. It's like the carrots.
Be the first, you know.
It's like,
It's-
I'm winning that game, that race. I want to be the first. That's what's happening. If you remove that little click, be the first, then we stay back.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
All right. Now let's go back to the fact that you guys are journalists, always a journalist. It'll be very, very unfair if we don't ask you to ask us questions.
To ask a question.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let me start with Gaboloye. You see, when journalists go into government, you understand, one of the frustrations of being in government is that it's a different ballgame. You have to wait on people. Sometimes you don't agree with certain policies, but they will just tell you, you may not be there when decisions are taken. They will just come to you and say, this is our position, go and defend it. Why were you able to cope when you were Commissioner for Information?
Just like you said, it was difficult, especially when you come from the private sector, like I did. I'm used to going on air and saying what I want to say. I'm used to packaging my own programs. I'm my own boss in my own office. And now you have to defer to not just one human being, to a cabinet, to a governor, to a deputy governor. You're accountable. And then you are the voice, in my case, the voice for 7-8 million people in the state. It's difficult. It was difficult, especially when you know how it is. Bad news, and you have to find a way to send it out to people in a digestible form. I try to refrain from painting white-black, because in my mind, I wouldn't. You still have to leave that office one day, and you have to come back to your people. It was very difficult, but I'm happy. I was fortunate that we had a governor and a government that tried to do the very best for the people of the state. So my job was about 85% done. All I had to do was just say, oh, this is what we are doing today. Of course, being in Nigeria, a lot of shortfalls, limited capital for the things that people want. People want good roads, they want good hospital, they want good. So you have to find a way to just continue to explain to them, like, we want to do the good roads, we want to do the hospital, but in a situation where you need 100 billion and you are making 1 billion, this is this. So we try to paint that picture for them in a way that it was tough. It was really tough, because people would say, this one was joining, we're not in paro. But thank God that the pedigree and what I had done before spoke for me, and I always told them like it was. So I'm able to walk the streets wherever. If I find something that I couldn't, I would just I can't. And there were 1 or 2 occasions like that. Not that the man asked me to say, just say, go and handle it, but you have to use your.
Was he upset? I'm sorry to.
Yes.
Not upset.
Because we know politicians, when you tell them no,
Yeah.
they say, my friend, I don't want to hear that. I want to get
As a
it."
matter of
Have
fact,
these additional-
what I liked about him, and I'll be honest, the man would always, he wouldn't tell you to go and do something he wouldn't do himself. So a lot of very critical situations, he would just say, don't worry, I'll handle it. Don't worry, I will, and he would take the brunt for it. Of course, I'll be standing next to him, but I would say that really, he would take the, he would
You
say,
have to be the shield.
let them insult me.
You have to be the
Because
shield.
there's nothing you would say that people they would say,
Yeah.
"On the uncle of Paro, so what are you going to tell them?" So the man will go there and tell them, "This is the governor." So So it would shield us from a lot of those unpleasant circumstances. And I was fortunate, but it was tough. It was tough.
Answering your question, Lord Mayor, former Commissioner for Information of Ogun State.
Yes.
Current Commissioner for Information, Borno State.
No, yes, I'm going to
Abakura
come to I'll come to Bakura.
Okay.
Let me go to Kenny.
I was trying to do.
No.
You're pointing. You're sacrificing Babakura. The two commissioners should take the place.
Let me go to you, Kenny.
We have to test.
You started with Repower,
Yes.
you understand? And you've been a radio man. You together with your friend, you guys on Kennis music, Kennis. You have this program. Prime time. You know. What I want to say is that I want to ask, how do you keep reinventing yourself? Because one of the secrets of success is ability to reinvent yourself, and that's one of the things working for you. If you look at the years that you guys have been called world famous, you know, at a time, the younger people within the industry felt, oh, they will be able to push you guys away. But you've been there, you've been consistent, and the secret is that you keep reinventing yourself. How did you keep reinventing yourself?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. You know what we do, because we are entertainers, they see us as entertainers. They don't know that it's a work. And again, what you said, some people, they even said that we were too old for the job 10, 15, 20 years ago. But for the fact that the job is a job, it's like asking a banker. You've been a banker 20 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and currently you are still a banker. Are you going to change? Answer is no. For you to be consistent, you have to work, and that work must be hard. And again, we give God the glory that we know we are focused. I mean, I have master's degree, I'm not bragging. He also has master's degree. And again, we knew what we wanted to do. We wanted to do media, just like you are journalists. And again, in media, you have to be on top of your game to be consistently known and be relevant. And again, it's just part of our job. I don't even see it. Earlier, before you came, AIT asked the question. The same question you asked. I say, what are you doing next? I say, I won't tell you. Because if I tell you, the issue of surprise that you might have gained would have been useless. But you'll be the first to know whenever we want to do it. Just like today. Nobody knew that we're going to do this. Just a couple of days ago, we put the phone out, we sent tests out to our friends, and you are here, and we thank you.
Sorry, just to add to that, I think sincerely speaking, it's just, we love what we do. You could wake me up at 3 a.m. I'll be happy to go on radio. Just like you guys do. I mean, what you went through in your journalism, and you continue to, you believe it's just part of the process. You love what you do. You love writing. So I know Mayour does the same thing. I mean, over the years, we've been at parties when you would leave us and say, I'm going to, and I said, you tell the champagne we drank. You know, on Friday, Saturday, you say, I'm still going to production. And I said, go champagne time with you. Because you love what you do. And I know Dr. Kehinde as well, that Saturdays you can't even invite him to anything, say, I'm in production. But the love of the job, what we do, we love it. Whether, and I tell people this, we were doing it when there was no money in it. So, you know, it's just, we love what we do, and it continues to make us happy. So why would I give up something that makes me happy?
That's what you call the 3 P's.
So, Bakura,
Yes, sir.
Passion plus purpose equals profit.
I believe, I'm very seriously too, that your governor is one of the best governors in Nigeria.
Yes, confirm.
You know, when you look at his style of governance and his performance, given the challenges
In that state.
it's amazing what he was able to achieve in that state. What's it like being his mouthpiece? What kind of man is he? What is driving him? Why is it that a governor will know have been ambushed thrice now, and he still wants to do what he should do, not minding that he could get fatter? You know, let us have an insight into who Zulum is.
Well, first and foremost, Zulum is a professor of agric engineering. Before he became the governor, first and foremost what he did was that, what does the state need? Prior to he being the governor, he was the commissioner for reconciliation, reconstruction and resettlement. So he was all over the state. In fact, there was a time he lived in Burma, which was one of the first places that was captured by the Caliphate as the second headquarters after Goza. He stayed in that town for 180 days. They keep changing rooms and places where they live because the insurgents have to come in almost on daily basis. But he was there to rebuild Burma. He said, this is an assignment that was given to me. So if I die in the course of this, I think it is an honorable death. That most Kanuris, they have that belief. If you are dying for a cause, they believe you are not dead. And that was why the old Kanu-Borno Empire, grows and reached its apogee up to this Libya, Nile Valley, and all these things. And the second thing is that he also have a program. As they are moving, he is looking at the shortcomings. Some of those things that needs to be done, but might have not been done. So he has a program. And when he came to selecting his cabinet constitute almost about 85% non-politicians. We have 16 engineers in that team. And it is not difficult for them to come out with a project at no political ties, with little minimum cost. And secondly also, he wants to be at the forefront. If he is to distribute palliatives, this is what we do every month. In every local government in Borno State, households are given 20,000 household, 15,000 household on monthly basis. And those palliatives, he will be there practical. And then a cart is going to be distributed the day before the distribution is going to take place. And because it's done on almost monthly basis, nobody wants to take double ration.
Hands-on management.
That is hands-on management. In addition to that also, every end of 2-3 months, every commissioner must come out with what he has done in his ministry. Yeah. Then the ESCO meeting is a must. You don't have any reason not to attend unless if you are sent on an errand, either to represent the state elsewhere, or there is a very, very serious problem that makes you not to attend. And all of you must contribute. Because you are a commissioner of information, it does not mean that if you know something about agriculture, that you will not contribute. In primary school and secondary schools are loaded into that system. So sometimes you don't need a teacher to appear in the classroom. The teacher will stay in his house and then he will use his laptop and then will be communicating with his students. So that kind of technology has almost all the subjects. And those subjects are well crafted and then they are tailored to suit our own purpose. For instance, in terms of agriculture, what we did was that we trained about 1,000 people on irrigation farming, like drip irrigation, horizontal irrigation, vertical irrigations, and then pivot irrigation. The pivot irrigation is an irrigation style that, it has tiles.
You will get an invoice for this, right?
No.
You know you are going to get an invoice, right?
It will help other people. It will help other people. And again, there is nothing that doesn't grow in Borno. There is nothing that doesn't grow in Borno. You see, like this.
With the weather?
Yeah, with the weather. Like the skip 2 of the Chad Basin. What we did was that because of that problem, then 20,000 hectares are seeded to produce rice, barley, guinea corn, and millets. But you may ask, how can the people go to the farm because of this security problem? So he came out with what he calls farm marshals in collaboration with the Nigerian Civil Defense. They were specially trained to watch over the farms. They were given fast-moving vehicles. They were given a communication equipment that they can reach out to, each other at whatever angle, whether or not there is GSM service or not. So these farmers are also selected based on households, because we cannot sustain feeding all the people who are under this problem on monthly basis. So they have to produce the food that will be bought up by the government and subsequently can be pushed to areas where farming activities is not taking place.
Thank you, Akura. Thank you.
How does the government cope with? How is it coping with the challenge, the security challenge that is really facing the state as it is now? Because every day we get reports of constant attack, Boko Haram and all that. What's his thinking on?
That is why he is pushing hard to ensure that people are returned to their ancestral homes. Once there is no human activities, you have given or ceded that place to the insurgents. And that's why he was attacked 3 times when in the course of resettling people at Baga. Because Baga is one of the most vibrant and the virulent economic nerve center of Borno State.
Yeah.
Because the fish that is produced
I did my service
in the Chad Basin, not only consumed within Nigeria, but almost the entire West and Central African Sub-region, that fish goes. They are the largest producer of cowpea beans. They are the largest producer of rice, wheat, maize. So if you don't allow these people to get back to that place, so most of them are rich people. They are not poor, and they don't work for government. The kids will go to school, get university degree, but they will say they can't sit down in the office to be collecting handouts. So they go. One small farm can give you if you are able to get about this 50 kg of rice. If you have 1,000 of it from your farm, I mean, it's more than enough for you to eat, get money, buy the vehicle that you want to cruise. They don't even need almost all these things. They don't need it. They don't even like it. So that's why he has to, ensure that people are returned to that Baga and Kuka, and he really succeeded. Even after at the risk of being attacked 3 times, he was able to take them there. And what they now do now is that normally if you have a house and your house is down, so the government will provide you with blocks, with woods, with roofing sheets, cements,
For you to rebuild.
and some money. So you build your house according to your taste. And in addition to that, also in all the local government areas where there is this destruction, 1,000 housing units are being built. That one is built completely by the state government. So we have resettled Kauri along Bama Road. We have settled Alajiri along Dikwa Road. We have resettled Limankara in Goza local government, Ngoshe in Goza local government, Krawa in Goza local government. And then the next area that the governor is now concentrated to resettle, Abadam, which is border with Niger Republic. And then Marte, where you have the largest agricultural scheme in Nigeria, the Chad Basin and the South Chad irrigation scheme. And in that place, you also have an electricity generating plant that can produce 30 megawatts of electricity, which is more than enough to take care of the entire Borno State and probably maybe give something to you. But because of that, we can't do anything.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Commissioner for Information, Borno State.
Has given you the information.
Any parting words, Lord Mayor?
Yeah, I want to say big congratulations.
Thank you.
I remember that when Kennis FM at Arepo, I was there.
Yes.
I'm honored and privileged to be here again.
Thank you.
We associate with your suspects. We know that Kennis FM is different. It's run by professionals who know what they're doing. And so I'm not surprised that in such a short time you'll be able to have the Lagos office. We look forward to when you're going to have the Abuja office, and we're going to be there.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you.
Let me also thank you. Congratulations to the management of Kennis FM. You've done so well, and it's not easy, like we all know, to sustain any creative enterprise like this. And I know that despite all the challenges that have come your way, you've continued to weather the storm, continue to stay afloat, and it's quite impressive, and we're also very, very proud of you guys.
Thank you.
Give it up.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful, warm thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Lord Mayour, Akinpelu, Dr. Seye, Kehinde. We thank you.
Thank you.
All right, check your time, check it correctly.
2 o'clock.
All right. And of course, we're supposed to have played a beautiful song for KBC. He's a lover of gospel music. He's still here. We play, what do you have?
Yeah.
I want to be a billionaire. That's for ID. But for KBAC, let's get some gospel, like Nara Ekele. You have that? Okay, which one is coming first? Billionaire. Okay. Billionaire first, KBAC, then after that,
The kingdom needs a billion.
right here on Kennis FM. Good afternoon.